Welcome. In front of me is a Xiaomi 12X, and today I will show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this phone. So I'm going to begin with the couple of things that I can find in special features. So let's open up settings and scroll down to special features. So one thing we have here is a sidebar, which by default for some reason is turned off. So we can access that. So let's enable it, and you can now see this tiny little bar right here, which you can pull out and access a couple applications by simply tapping on it. And as you can see, it opens them up in this kind of pop-up view. You can also expand it to be full screen if you want to. This is a fairly similar to what you have on things like, for instance, Huawei. So it actually is almost exactly the same. And now going back to the, where was it? Right here. And for some reason closed it, so let's get back here. We also had a heart rate monitor, which was actually quite surprising to me. So you use your fingerprint sensor as a heart rate monitor. So let's just kind of place mine. And as you can see, it will start scanning for like 14 seconds, I think it was. Apparently, I have 100 BPM right now. Oh no, it's coming down. Still high. So yeah. There we go, that's another one. Now moving on to something else. It's going to be the refresh rate. Battery being really low. Okay, cool. So moving on to refresh rate, which we can find under the display. Tap right here and make sure that this is set to auto. So this will basically keep switching between standard and high. I believe I'm gonna actually check it just to be certain. Let's go into... Oh, there we go. If I won't find it right now, I'm just gonna ditch it. But I did want to kind of show it just because it... There we go. Okay, so yeah, we can see it. So this gives us a good understanding on how the refresh rate actually works right here. So whenever you're actually doing something, as you can see, it will be at 120. So gives you this nice battery smooth animations of scrolling up and down. Obviously this will consume more battery, but when you're not really doing anything, it drops it down to 60. So this will try to preserve battery as much as it can in a way. It doesn't drop it below 60, which is a little bit of a shame, but still it's better than constantly running at 120 and consuming more battery life as budget, for instance, Samsung phones do. So additionally, another tip that I can give for this is if you're using the high refresh rate and you want to prioritize your battery life, maybe switching it to custom would be better, and then you get to select 60 instead. This will then limit the display to be always at 60. You will lose that battery smooth animations when you're scrolling up and down and doing whatever, but your battery life will last a little bit longer. So that is one thing that you could try out. Now, moving on to the next thing, which also is on the display, I'm going to touch upon the dark mode. So we have just a typical light and dark mode, which basically every phone at this time has, but we also have a scheduled dark mode, which allows you to toggle this on, and this will switch between light and dark mode based on the time of day, which actually I would consider to be a little bit of a better alternative here. So there we go. I recommend utilizing this option over just the hard toggle, just because, as you probably already experienced, during summer when you take your phone out in direct sunlight, it is quite hard to see it in dark mode or with dark mode. So light mode is a little bit more easier to actually see in like direct sunlight, and that's kind of a benefit. Well, during the nighttime, most likely you don't want to be blasted by pure white light in your face, burning your irises out, and yeah. So there we go. That's kind of what I recommend. And a last thing that I'll touch upon is just the gesture navigation. We do have the option for it at the setup screen, but some people probably just skipped through it, so I'm going to touch upon it right now. And we can find it by going into the additional settings and also finding the full screen display. I believe this is actually located somewhere else, but that's an easier way or quicker way for me to find it. And in here we have just the buttons and gestures. Now before I toggle it on, I will kind of show you I am using right now a custom launcher, as you can most likely see. So there we go. And the reason why I'm pointing that out is because for some stupid reason, you can't use the gestures with a third-party launcher. So why the is this even an option? Like, I'm gonna go on a rant right here and just kind of show you the stupidity of this. Because if you want to use gestures, you are stuck with their trash shit launcher. Which, here you go, like, there we go. We get our gestures, but we are stuck now with this garbage. Why would I want to use this? I have my own launcher that I prefer to use with the actual gestures, like my 3-year-old phone can. This was, to be completely honest, I'm gonna go completely off the subject right here. This was a phone that I was really considering for substituting my Mate 20 Pro. And I was already kind of like prepping because I know my launcher that I like to use does have problems. But apparently Xiaomi has a problem using third-party launchers, because why would you be able to use gestures? So yeah, if you're planning to use gestures, say bye-bye to whatever launcher you're gonna be using, because it's completely unusable. And the thing that infuriates me even more, it's not that it can't run, because guess what? I can now find this damn launcher, open it up without setting it as default, and look at that, it effing works! So yeah, the actual like thing right here is absolutely just scam for you to be forced into using their garbage. And the fact that if you want to utilize these two things, what you need to do for this, which probably would deserve a video on its own, is literally download the fluid navigation something. It's just an app in Play Store, and you literally throw out using ADB the garbage just buttons from the bottom, and then just force over that the gestures from the App Store, because you cannot use these with a third-party application. Why? So yeah, it's something about the fact that some kind of developer that made gesture navigations for all the Android phones back when iPhone was the only one that did it, still manages to run better on a phone that has its own, just boggles my mind. But that's the world that we're living in, apparently. So yeah, we have gestures, but they're not perfect, not even close, to be honest. But if you want to utilize them, that's basically where they are. Now, that was a little bit of a rant right there, just from something that I did experience today that frustrated me beyond belief. But if you found it maybe entertaining, don't forget to smash that like button, and thanks for watching.